The most significant thing I remember about you in terms of when we first started clicking,
Yes.
I think, was when your daughter died.
That's correct.
And how old was she?
She was 14.
Let's just go back for a second because you went through some incredible stuff. Your husband, your daughter. Talk about, I want to start there with your daughter because I think that really will help people see some stuff in what you went to, because you didn't hear about the situation with the cancer until after that, right?
Correct.
Okay.
My daughter was 13 years old and she was diagnosed with a brain tumor. I'm going to get emotional.
Right.
And it was tough. And I was going to church. I was prayed up. I had the word in me, so that helped. I started going to Solid Rock when she was diagnosed. Pastor Lonnie didn't even know. I was sitting in the front, and I remember you telling me that you didn't even know for months until I went to your office and told you that my daughter was going through this. I don't know if you remember that. But I was in the front, always worshiping and always praising. And so she went through a couple of surgeries, brain surgeries, and it was on her brain stem. So there was always that little piece that they couldn't get. And so she's on the books at UCLA. They told us that she shouldn't have been walking. She was playing soccer at the time she was diagnosed. Because of the size of the tumor, she shouldn't have been walking. And she lived for 18 months. But I'd like to share something about that. My daughter, not because she's my daughter, but she was incredible as far as her faith. Those of you that had ever met her or knew her, she had more faith than any adult I ever met.
I remember that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she would go to school with, she had no hair. She gained 40 pounds on steroids. She had a walker. She didn't want to be homeschooled. And when I asked her why, she kept saying, because I'm going to show the teachers and the other students what Jesus is going to do for me. She would go to UCLA Children's Hospital. The doctors and the nurses would actually take me out into the hallway and say, does your daughter know she has cancer? And I said, well, of course she does. And he said, well, she's acting like she does. And she's telling the other kids that Jesus is going to heal her. I said, that's what faith is. And I would talk to the doctors and the nurses about what faith is. She lived for 18 months, and she passed away from pneumonia. It's usually not cancer that takes a person, it's usually the
Because
complication.
the immune system, right?
That's correct. The day she passed, you know, people that came to the homecoming ceremony that was at Solid Rock, I think there was over 200 people that were saved that day. The entire school came. She was the president of her junior high school. And people, I got a lot of questions afterwards asking me, well, if she had so much faith, why do you think she passed away? It took me a long time to come to terms with why, but one day I was driving to work, as I do every day, and I talked to God in my car. That's where I talked to him. And I got my answer, and I realized after all this that it's a person's will. It's always about your will. And what I'm about to share with you is very personal, but I feel like I need to share this part. The day she died, she was at home. They had sent her home. They told me at Children's Hospital that there was nothing that they could do for her. So I took her home. And
did they tell you it was a matter of days, hours at that point?
Nope.
Okay.
They didn't tell me how long it would take. She was up in, set up in a hospital bed and everything. And we were watching a movie that day she died. It was April 22nd, 1998. She had actually died, I guess, technically died prior to that, her passing away. So they intubated her, put the tube on her, so she lost her voice. And so we would communicate, she would, and she used to have this little thing where she would grab my hand, and I would squeeze her hand 3 times, and I love you. And she would squeeze my hand 4 times. I love you too. do that all the time. She used to do it all the time. So the day that she passed away, her breathing was getting more shallow. I could hear it, and I knew it was coming. But nothing prepares you. Nothing prepares you.
But what were you thinking though? What was going on in your head? You remember some of the? Is that? I just can't even imagine knowing that what was going to happen. What? Were you numb? Were you?
Yes, pretty much. I have 2 other children, younger than her. She was my oldest, and pretty much when I went through this for the 18 months, everything, it kind of like, everything stood still from the day she was diagnosed.
Yeah.
Everything stood still. She was diagnosed the end of November of 1997. My brother was just killed. And I was at his funeral, not crying. And people were saying, why are you not crying? Your brother just died. You're at his funeral. And I said, because I just found out my daughter has a brain tumor the size of an orange. And my mind was on my daughter.
Yeah.
I knew my brother was born again, and I knew where my brother was.
Yeah.
So people looked at me like, God, you're heartless. But then when I found out my daughter had a brain tumor, I really understood where I was coming from. Because as a mother, I had to take everything I had to pray for my daughter at that time. So the day she died, like I said, she was breathing more and more shallow, and we're watching a movie, and I was tired because I didn't sleep much then. I still don't sleep much now because I was always keeping an eye on her. And all of a sudden, I was sitting next to her. She was in the bed. All of a sudden, she looked up in the corner of her room, and she smiled. What are you looking at? And she just kept looking in the right-hand corner of the room, and she kept smiling. And I knew what she was looking at. And I said, do you see something? She said, yeah. She nodded yes, and she had this big smile. She kept smiling, and then I said, you know, I'm not going to let you go. I told her, I'm not going to lose you. And she says to me, she could barely whisper, and she says, they're here for me.
Wow.
And I said, do you see angels? And she says, yes, Mom, I see angels. They're here for me. And I got to tell you that in those 18 months, that little girl never, ever once said, why me? Never complained. Not one time. Through all the chemo, the radiation, she lost hearing in her ear, all the experimental chemo that she went through, you wouldn't believe what this little girl went through. And she still never said, why me? She kept saying, Jesus is going to heal me. Jesus is going to heal me. It was incredible. Those that knew her, it was just incredible that she was going through, the strength that she had. So I'm looking up in the corner of the room. I don't see anything, and she's just smiling, and she gets my hand and she squeezed it 3 times. And I'm like,
Which means I love you.
And I said, I'm sorry. I said, I'm not letting you go. I said, I'm going to keep praying. I'm going to keep fighting. I said, I'm not letting you go. You're not going. It was just me and her in the room, and she whispers, Mom. She called me closer to her, and I leaned over next to her. She says, Mom, do you love me? I said, of course I love you. She says, have I ever asked you for anything? Anything in these 18 months? And I said, no. She says, Mom, if you love me, I hurt so bad. She says, I hurt so bad. I haven't told your dad. I hurt so bad. I'm in so much pain. The morphine isn't even working anymore. She said, please let me go. Please let me go. Mom, they're here for me. Please let me go. And it took me up from there. I kept saying no. I kept saying no. She said, Mom, stop praying for me, please. She says, please release me. Mom, please release me. I beg you. It was the hardest thing for me to do. And I hope none of you ever, ever, ever have to go through that. But I knew that I had to release her. So I said, in the name of Jesus, I release you. That was the hardest thing for me to do. And she says, thank you, Mom. So I went.
She said thank you after you
She said,
said
thank you, Mom. She says, I love you. And I said, I love you too. And she squeezed my hand and she said, I said, I'm going to go lay down in Jacob's room. My son's room was right next to her room. And I said, I'm going to just go lay down. I'm really tired. I'm just going to go lay down just for a minute. Just going to close my eyes just for a minute. She says, okay, Mom. She says, I love you. And I said, I love you too. I stepped out of the room. I wasn't even gone 10 minutes. And my ex-husband came in and told me. She waited for me to leave the room and she left.
That's pretty heavy. That was a lot of stuff. I remember your daughter. She was a very sweet young lady. And, when you pray for somebody to be healed and you don't see them healed on this side, it can keep you from God after. You can question God. A lot of times it happens to
That's
people.
correct.
Did that happen to you?
No, it did not. It did not. I wasn't angry at God. People ask me that all the time. Are you angry? No, I kept going to church. And I was never angry at God because I realize now that it was her will to go.
Yeah.
It's her will. And when it's your will, you're going to go.
Yeah.
Or you're going to
And
stay.
thank you, put that there, sir. Thank you very much. And and let me tell you something. She did get healed.
Yes.
Just on the other side,
That's
she got
correct.
the ultimate healing. And that happens, and I've learned
Yes.
when I've seen people, including my own mother, that I question, well, why didn't they get healed?
Exactly.
And the Holy Spirit gave me the answer, they did.
That's correct.
They just got healed on the
That's
other
correct.
side.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's interesting, after your daughter dies, I don't know how many months or years, but then I guess you and your husband start having some challenges,
Correct.
and you go through a divorce.
That's correct. After 23 years, and it was because my daughter passed away, we started having problems.
And the percentage is extremely high that
That's
when someone loses a kid, the couple very rarely stays together. I don't know why, but
Yeah, we grieved separately, actually. We grieved separate sides, opposite sides of the house. It's weird. We couldn't come together to grieve. It was, I don't know why, we couldn't. And that's kind of what separated us.
Just grew apart.
Yeah, our walls went up.
Wow.
And she wasn't my husband's biological daughter. So actually my daughter was the one that brought us together. And then when she was gone, it was towards the heart.
Wow. So your daughter dies, you go through divorce. What's next?
2009, I was divorced. In August 2010, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, which was a shocker because it does not run in the family. I'm probably the healthiest one in my family too.
What went through your mind when the doctor said that?
He called me at home on a Saturday, so I knew something was wrong. I had gone for my mammogram, and I actually missed it. And I went in for something else, and my doctor wasn't there. And the other doctor said, I noticed you can go for your mammogram. You need to do it. I said, oh, I'll do it next year. Okay, I can miss 1 year. He says, no, you can't. So I went in and did it, and they found it. And when I got the call, initially I was in shock. I was numb. I didn't know what to think, but a lot. My whole world went
Now,
upside down.
because your daughter died from cancer, did the enemy flood your
Yes,
mind with those thoughts?
definitely.
Well, what kind of thoughts were you getting?
Oh, he told me I was going to die. He told me I was going to die also. And he told me that everything that my daughter went through, I was going to go through the same thing.
And you start seeing pictures?
I started visualizing everything that I was going to go through. I mean, I couldn't sleep at night. I kept getting negative thoughts, just harassment.
And let me tell you, it's interesting you say that. One of the most difficult things to do when you had a loved one or someone you care about get a disease of some sort and they don't make it, you're believing for it, and then you get it, it's very, very difficult to overcome that.
That's correct.
But you beat the odds. So you're numb, you're getting all these thoughts. Walk us through the journey real quick. What happened after that?
After I told my family, they were devastated because what happened to my daughter. Of course, everyone thinks the worst. Everyone thinks that. I see it in people's eyes.
Of course,
You're
yeah.
next.
Yeah.
You're gonna die too.
So you saw people, you could see the expression. Did you almost feel like I don't want to talk to anybody about it?
I actually started secluding myself from people because I knew that in order to get through this, I knew that I had to kind of seclude myself against any negativity and any people that were going to speak negativity about the situation.
Yeah. So the fight for your life started. Tell us how you fought.
As soon as the initial shock wore off about the cancer, because what I went through with my daughter, I knew what I had to do. I've always been pretty much a fighter, a warrior type person when I prayed, so kind of rolled up my sleeves and got to it.
So after the numbness, you said, I gotta fight.
Definitely, yeah, just an instinct that went in me, and I thought, I'm not gonna go down.
So what are some of the things you did?
I from your teachings, I had the word in me. I would read my Bible, I would pray, and I kept confessing the word out loud, so my inner man, my spirit could hear it.
Let me just ask you this about the teachings. When you're going through something like that, your life's in the line, how important, how valuable is it to hear the teachings that you're going to live and not die?
Well,
how valuable?
It's very valuable. I believe that that's why God put me in this church, to hear those teachings, because God knew that I was going to go through with my daughter, and everything that I learned from what I went through and saw what she went through and how strong she was. I knew that this 14-year-old daughter, my 14-year-old daughter could go through this without whimpering. I knew that I have this, I got this, I got this. And I went through it. My family was surprised how positive I was. I mean, I actually used to make jokes when I lost my hair. You know, I went to work, I was off work, but when I went to go visit my coworkers at work, they were like, oh, I'm so sorry you lost your hair, you know. What do you feel, how do you feel about that? And I was like, oh, I didn't lose my hair, I shaved my head, I joined a gang, didn't you hear it? I would make jokes. I just, you know, I said, God, you should see all the money I'm saving, you know, shampoo, conditioner, you know, my curling iron, my flat iron, hair dye. I'm saving so much money. So I was like looking at everything in a positive way.
And even though you were fighting for your life, what about the tough times? What about the times that, did you feel pain? Did you feel, what was going on?
I never, ever threw up during all the chemo. I went through 4 months of chemo, intense chemo. And the nurses were amazed that I never threw up. And
that's normal for people?
Yeah, they threw up all the time. I was nauseous. I didn't lose weight. I didn't gain weight. Everyone that saw me said, you look the same. You don't look any different. One of the things that I learned going through all this was that, you know, in the middle of the night, that's when I got harassed by the enemy.
This is very important. I'm glad you're saying this, because a lot of people, particularly if you're alone, the enemy will attack you more at night when everything is still and everything is quiet. And a lot of times, you'll be in and out of sleep consciousness, and you won't even be able to, it's like your tongue is, you can't even move. And what he's trying to do is warfare with you through thoughts, because that's what the battle is. So you experience that.
Yes, he would. I would have experienced fear. This fear would come over me, like I could barely move. I would be lying in my bed, and I was alone, and I would be like, you know, I would see myself at my funeral.
Yeah.
And so what I would do is I would get up, and I thought, nope, I would get up, and I'd start walking my living room and just start praying and praying and praying and quoting scripture and everything that I learned in the teachings, going to church. I just kept pulling from within me and pulling it out. And then when I didn't know what to pray for, I started praying in tongues. That's why it's so important to pray in tongues. And I would feel the power when I prayed in tongues. And then I would pray like for hours. And then when I felt a peace, and I knew, okay, it's done.
Wow. So you literally battled.
Yep, I was
So
in a
instead of
battle.
lying there taking the beating, you got up. That's huge. You got up, you attacked back.
That's correct.
That's huge.
Hallelujah.
This is when you're in a battle for your life. You can't be meek or weak. And that's when you gotta roar like a lion.
Wow.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
So let me fast forward this, because it didn't end there. So what happened? You go through the chemo, all that happens, and
Yeah.
did you get, you hear from the doctor that what?
Well, So I went through everything, just to back up. I went through 3 surgeries in 1 month. They normally do only 2 surgeries. The first surgery, they took it out, and they said we found more, there's more around the margins. So I went back 2 weeks later, they did another surgery, they took more out, and they said, my surgeon called me and she says, we don't normally do this. This is very unusual, but we're finding more, and I want you to come back for the 3rd time. And we never do this, but I really feel this is important, and we're finding it in your lymph nodes. So they actually found 2 different cancers in one breast, and then they found it in my lymph nodes. And
That's when it's really dangerous, right?
yeah, that's when I was like, wow, this is really good.
So it's starting to get worse. What are you thinking now? The enemy, I'm sure, is just pressuring you.
Correct, but God is greater than cancer.
Amen.
So I just continue to
What are some of the life changes you had to make with family, friends during that period?
I had to actually, I stopped talking to some of my family and some of my friends because I was hearing a lot of negative things from them, and they weren't in agreement with me and my healing. So, like I said, I kind of secluded myself, and during that time, when you're going through something like this, you would think that your family and friends are going to be there because they're the closest people to you. But God showed me that He brings other people in your life for a season.
Yeah.
And this lady from my work was a breast cancer survivor, and she was actually there more for me. Her
She
and
was
her
a
husband-
coach? Was she?
No,
or not that?
that was
Okay.
my sister-in-law. That
Okay,
was
we'll
my
talk about that
sister-in-law.
in a moment, right? Okay.
Yeah, so my family and my friends weren't there as much as I thought they were going to be there for me. It was amazing. But
A lot
God
of
was there
times,
for me.
a lot of times they don't understand. They don't
They
know what to do, what to
They
say.
don't.
Yeah.
They don't. People said the worst things to me when they
Really?
I'd go to the grocery store and somebody would see me with no hair. I didn't wear wigs a lot. I wore hats, fedoras.
Yeah.
I still wear them today. This is reminder.
Wow.
Yeah. But people would come up to me and say, "Oh, I heard you got the cancer. Is that true?" And I said, "Yes." And they would say, "You know, my aunt went through that, and she died." And I did that so much. It's like, well, thanks for the inspiration.
And that's the last thing you need to hear. That's the enemy will make sure you hear that.
I heard that a lot.
So after you go back the 3rd time for surgery?
Yes, I had my 3rd surgery in 1 month. It was hard on my body. And then after the 3rd surgery, I get a phone call from the surgeon, and she says, you need to come in to my office and you need to bring somebody to try you. So that's when she said, it's pretty serious, and you need to make some decisions here. This is pretty serious. I never thought it was going to get to that point, actually. It was pretty serious.
Wow, so the thoughts are probably happening again.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it was.
So you go to the doctor, what did she say?
Well, then I had to make some decisions on surgeries after that, and I actually pulled up with my apartment. I didn't talk to anyone for a week. I prayed for a whole week on what to do. I needed God's guidance on what to make the right decision, what type of surgery was I going to have, because I had options, and it was up to me. That was a hard
Sure.
week, very hard.
You had to hear God's voice. You know, and both surgeries or whatever the options were, they're dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of risk factor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what happened?
I had the surgery. I was at UCLA for a week, actually. It was a 9-hour surgery.
What did they do?
Back up, I had a double mastectomy at CMH, and then I had to get reconstructed about 6 months later, and that was a 9-hour surgery. And after I had that 9-hour surgery, I woke up to find out that the surgery was botched. After all that.
Botched, meaning
It didn't take. I was 1 out of 2,000 and some, and it didn't take.
What were
all
you
that.
thinking about it?
Oh, I was upset. I was
Wow.
so upset. Yeah, my
Like
sister.
yet another thing, huh?
Yeah, it's like, why me? Like, why me?
Wow.
Come on.
Wow.
This is getting ridiculous now, you know? I was angry. And I fought with my insurance company for about a year before they made it right again. My doctor actually helped me, my general physician, referred me to a plastic surgeon that helped me. I know that was God.
Wow.
That was God.
So they took care of all that.
Took care of all that.
So everything's back to normal,
Everything's fine.
and you're living your life,
That's correct.
and you're just happy, and what a great testimony. And then what happened?
Well, I guess to back up a little bit, before I had my surgery, I was already divorced at the time. I ran into my sister-in-law, she was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 37. And she didn't know that I had been diagnosed with breast cancer, so she became she was I guess a coach to me. Like, she would help me with resources.
So she had cancer.
That's
she was
correct.
fighting it.
She knew what to go through.
And then she found out you had it?
Correct.
So she's encouraging you and what
She was
happened?
encouraging me to go to these classes and
And
read
did you
these
go?
books. Mm-hmm.
So you were doing what she said, because you saw when you saw her success.
She was doing great.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I ran into her.
And that must have been encouraging, because this is your
Very.
coach, and you're saying, okay, if she can do it, I can do it.
That's correct. Yes,
And
I
then
knew
what?
somebody in the family that went
Right.
through it. Then she told me that she had to wait to get reconstructed because they wanted to wait a year. I don't know if there was problems or what. She didn't really go into it. She's a very private person. But when I ran into her at the grocery store, she said, I'm going to get reconstructed. I'm so excited. And I was excited for her. She doesn't have any children. She's married. And then when she went to get the preliminary test before the surgery, they found out that her cancer was spread. And she died.
I bet the thoughts start all over you.
Oh my
This
gosh.
is your coach encouraging you, the person encouraging you that you're going to fight and win the cancer, dies of cancer.
Yep. And so I go to her funeral.
What was that like?
Horrible. Because I was wearing a scarf at the time. I had no hair. And I walk in, and my ex-husband's family all turned around and looked at me with those eyes of, "You're next. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And I thought, I just sat there smiling, and I think they were surprised that I was smiling, And of course, my heart went out to the family, and of course, I was grieving for my sister-in-law. But when I got in my car to drive away from the funeral, I thought, God, it's greater than cancer, and I'm going to survive this. They're going to be shocked. I mean, because they just don't know the word. They don't know the positive part of it. They always see the negative, and as a people, we don't know the negative.
They're expecting you to die.
That's correct. And they were looking at me like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry.
So you go through that, go through the success of the operations, you recover from the botch and what happened, and you're living your life for how long?
3 years.
3 years, everything's going good, then what happened?
Then I started having problems with one of my breasts, so I mentioned it to my doctor. We did some tests. He called me into his office, and he tells me, we're seeing something on your blood test. And I went by myself that day, which you shouldn't do.
Because you feel overwhelmed?
Because it's hard, it's a lot to take in, and it's hard to drive. It's a lot, it's a lot.
I imagine, yeah.
So when he told me that, I actually went back to work. I was at work that day, and I went back to work, and I ended up going home that day just to kind of deal with it.
So when did he say it was cancer, or he just said
He
we
did.
see something?
He said he saw something.
But you heard that before?
Yeah.
So you knew what was going on?
Yes.
Were you feeling the same kind of pain that you felt?
No, I didn't feel any pain in the beginning. I didn't feel anything. They just found it on my mammogram. There was no pain. I had no symptoms, nothing.
So when did you finally know it was cancer?
In the beginning,
No, the second, when the doctor said we've seen something?
he says that when he looked at it, he said it looks pretty much like cancerous. I don't know what you call it. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's not a spot. They see something. And
So you knew you'd have to now start all over again with the other side. What were you thinking?
I drove home. I was angry. I was so angry that I would have to go through this again, and then that warring mode kicks in again. Let me tell you, you don't want to get me mad. You don't want to get me mad, because that warring mode is, I think, what saved my life.
Yeah.
Because you got it. It's all about attitude.
Yeah.
I could have rolled up in a
Very
fetal
easy.
position
Yeah.
and just said, you know what, woe is me. Here I go again.
Tired of fighting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I actually was tired.
Of course.
I was tired. But you know what? That warring spirit that's within all of us, it just reared up again. I said, you're not going anywhere. So I went and had some more tests done, and then I went back to my oncologist, and he has his file on his lap, and I'm sitting there looking at him like, okay, he's going to tell me the worst. And he's flipping through this file, and he's looking at me, and he's flipping through, and he just kept looking at me, and he's flipping through, and he kept looking at me, and he's opening it, closing it, opening it, closing it, and I'm just looking like, what? I thought maybe he was...
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing because
Well, I was thinking maybe he didn't want to tell me,
Yeah.
but I was nervous,
Yeah.
and he just kept opening it, closing it, and looking through, and then he says, Sharon, he closes it, and he says, I don't know how to explain this, but whatever you had in your right breast is you got, and I don't know why. I know who it was. I know.
What did you feel like at that
Oh
moment?
my gosh, I was actually crying when I drove back to work because I was just thanking God, just thanking Him and thanking Him and thanking Him. I was just praising Him and giving Him all the honor and all the praise for everything He's done for me. Yeah. It was intense.
Wow.
Mhm.
So what's happened since then?
I'm good. I've been
How many years ago?
cancer free for 6 years.
Hey! I remember, we're taking questions here, but I remember that period
Mm-hmm.
because you had talked to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that she had another fight on her hand. But I could tell in your eyes something had changed. I could tell. And you had to look like, not now, not like this. I remember that. But it still was a time where you had to sort of isolate yourself some more, right? And go through it. I mean, it's just incredible. I'm numb hearing your story. I'm so glad you shared this. Does anybody have any questions or something? You probably don't have. I mean, what can you say after this? Way in the back. Yes, sir.
I just first of all appreciate your faith and your consistency with what you knew in your heart was with God. And to hear you sit there and say that after watching you countless Sundays, worship with me in the front, smiling when I see you. You know what I'm saying? You're greeting people at the door. You know, it takes a special person to be a greeter just at the door because everybody's coming in with, no matter, you don't know what's going on. And to see you, the way that you are and the way that you press in and the way that you worship God and the way that you come, when you had the cancer, when you did, nothing changed on your part. And that's why you were healed. That's why God came through and delivered you from that because you were doing just like your God. I love it. It's an example for a lot of us. None of us in here right now have cancer, but we're going through something. And if we keep that mindset, no matter what it is, we can be delivered from it, set free, healed, because God just wants to see that message. So I appreciate you.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. And that's one of the reasons that I do dance. I dance because I praise Him. I praise Him all the time. When I'm at home, I praise Him. I put music on and I praise Him because I know how important the worship. You know, you're right. I'm a greeter, and I see people showing up after praise and worship, and they're missing the best part. They're missing the best part. You know, and that's why I dance. I dance before Him, and if it ministers to any of you, you know, so be it. But I dance for me because it's my breakthrough. It's my breakthrough.
Let me tell you, when I see her dancing, I know why she dances. I know what it's all about. I'm like, you know how you dancers sometimes turn around the flat. Hit me, pop me, it don't matter. I know why she dances. And believe me, she can care less what anybody thinks. And if you've been through the hell she's been through, you dance like she danced, right? Put a couple of hands real quick. Yeah.
I just want to back up Troy. I've been with Pastor Lonnie as his friend probably over 38 years. And the thing I've seen of him is grow up. I've seen him get very frustrated at times, the time period that he and Kimberly went through, you know, when I just first joined the church. He's mentored me. He's been a good guy to me. He's also been very tough. I know why. I do. I just went through an experience today, same idea. The enemy is attacking me in different ways that I can't even express, but he has to know. He knows, because he hasn't spoke to me today after Pastor Johnny did. But I know, because I know what I'm supposed to do, Sharon. So when I see you, you excite me. Whenever I'm out there and I'm coming through, I greet everybody as much as I can, because that's who I am. He knows that, because he's told people, when you see David, you're his friend. You are. But you're special. Because I have a friend of mine that was in this church who gave up and died. And that hurt, because she was very close to me. Very close to me. But I admire you. I do. Because after what you just shared, I'd never heard this before. You've been through it all. You have. I'm just going through it. I'm not a young chicken. Pastor's wife, Kimberly, keeps telling me I'm the young 36. I'm the John Travolta, whatever. I get with it. I do. I get with it. And I've been sitting back waiting. I'm going to share this in front of Pastor Lonnie for a second, then I'm going to let you go and have everybody else.
You got to do it quick though, sir.
But I desire to share people, even though mine doesn't look tough. Mine does not look like yours or Anthony's or Gianna's or any of these. Mine, I gave to him months ago. I've yet to do it. But I'm so anxious to do that because there's stuff in there that people have to know, Sharon. It's like with you sharing the cancer. I share the hurts, the horrible that comes to you, even with the good. And I know what Pastor Lonnie's been through. Like I said, he's been my friend for 38 years. Friendship's been solid for a long time. And I know he's not going to give up on me. I don't want to give up on myself. So that's what gets me, is your inspiration.
And people will look at you the same, tell you, nobody in here will see you ever the same. I'm telling you. Yes, sir.
With your two younger kids, how did they go through it at that time?
I was just talking to Tony about this earlier. I don't think my son has really ever gotten over losing his older sister. They were very, very tight, and I think he still struggles with it. But my other daughter was younger, so they weren't as close. But it's when I look back and I think about those 18 months of what I went through, it's almost like I said, everything stood still. I didn't care about anything except focusing on my daughter, and actually my two children took the brunt of that too, because my ex-husband had to work, and so my kids were with a babysitter, my mom, whoever, so they kind of got a little pushed aside during this time, unfortunately, because I was practically living at the hospitals, eating out of vending machines and McDonald's. I had gained probably 15 pounds back then. I was really thin back then, and then I gained 15 pounds from just eating junk food because of just what I was going through. But yeah, my kids, it took a toll on my kids. It did. I think to this day, so.
It's a total of 18 months you went through all that?
Total of 18 months.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you write a book on your 18 months of hell, on how you came back. Incredible story. I am dumb. It is remarkable. I thank you for sharing it. And I'm telling you, had not you shared this story, no one here could ever in a million years look at you and tell you've been through 18 months of hell. Am I right?
Amen. Yeah.
That's the grace of God. You go through it, and you talk to your fight, and you've been through the fight of your life.